Yeah, g'day, here we are again. This is G6E Turbo this time, and one of the common upgrades is air intake. There's a lot of different aftermarket options out there for these motors. Today we're just going to be doing the K&N panel filter that will go into here. But what else we're going to be doing is putting an XR8 Airbox in, which has a bigger intake snorkel. This one is off the XR8. As you can see, the one that's here, only small. So we're going to dismantle this, pull this off, install the XR8, see what things come up, any issues. Case this line here might be in the way, we'll sort of just address it as we go and see what has to be done. Right, pull the factory snorkel out. Just a little Phillips head plastic bit that clips in, it barely turns anyway. So you just pop that out and that just clicks out, pulls out pretty easy. Not a hell of a lot of room, so I don't know how people do this mod, so we'll see how we go and pull all this out. Basically, got to undo this, pull that out of the place. You've got 2 bolts there to undo, and that should loosen it. I haven't seen another one, so we'll undo them, and if I come across another one, I'll add that in as well. Righto, start with a 7mm bit. Loosen that right off. Take that out of the way. 8mm bit. That's it, 2 bolts there out. That's it, that was just the 2, lift straight out. Those 2 intakes, they go to the throttle body, are the same size, so you don't have to change the hosing there. Mounting brackets are the same, or just that larger intake here, a lot larger. That one's tiny. Yeah, but I'm pretty sure there's a little pin right down the bottom that you've got to line up. See that? And that one there, that one there. You got those 2 rubber boots sitting in the hole. They've got to line up and drop in. That will give it a tighter fit. Alright, so that sits there, that sits there, they're all lined up. Now, there's one of the problems. Your intake piping coming from your intercooler, as you can see, that's touching. If I move the box, that's flexing that pipe. It's only plastic pipe. You know, vibrations in the car, plastic on plastic, slowly vibrating. The potential for a wear there. So what could be done, just a bit of cloth in there, something that's not going to catch fire obviously. Maybe just a bit of silicone hosing cut, thrown on the airbox just to buffer it, but also when that intake snorkel comes through here as well, that's going to have to sleeve over this, so it's going to push it out and put a bit more pressure on it, so it might be a tighter fit where it doesn't rub, but definitely something to look at. Right, we'll put these ones back in. Alright, I've squeezed the XR8 intake in, and that is pretty tight to get in. Now this water line down there is touching the pipe. Under there is enough clearance, so I'll get my torch on the phone. So you can just see down there where the belt runs, there is clearance, so that's fine, but it is very tight there. Doesn't touch the water line here, but it fits in pretty snug. But it is doable, but there's obviously just a couple of wear points that need to be addressed. Now the bonnet doesn't close with this on. I've just pulled this rubber seal back as well. There's little blue clips, I fucking broke one, but I got the other ones out, and what you got to do to put that back in place is put the blue clips back in the holes, and then you can click it back in place. But I've just left that hanging in there for now and tried shutting again, but it's still not quite right, so it must be hitting just up in here. So I think we're going to have to trim this back. I'll probably try and trim it back maybe up to here just before the hole, and sort of get that trim line all the way along till it starts coming back here. Then I reckon we can just bring it back and that'll be fine. And where that seal comes down, if that seal just sits right in that hole there, then that'll be fine. I'm just going to roughly mark where that's an issue. And I'm going to see if we can maybe heat that up and push that plastic in so it's not rubbing on there, because that's going to be a pain in the arse basically when the engine's vibrating, revving, torquing up if you're giving it a gutful, and it keeps pushing into that. Clearance is down there. Right, basically that hard straight line is where the pipe is, so we should be just trying to heat up this area here and pushing it in. You don't want to just burn one section and push it in slightly. You want to try and heat up a good area and then just try and roll it not put too much pressure on. But we'll see how we go. Electrical heat gun's probably the best way, because then there's no flame on it. You could use a torch, but yeah, you can run the risk of setting fire to the fucking thing. And then up here, I'm just going to trim that. You can use a grinder with a thin blade and just cut it. Probably be your best. A Dremel, die grinder, whatever you got. Don't use a jigsaw or a circ saw or anything like that. And yeah, remember to use protection, goggles, gloves, all that crap. Ooh. Give that a test, and then we'll clean it up. In case I'm going to cut some more off anyway, no point cleaning it. Get in there. Well, it's still just hitting. I think it's probably more just here. So I'll take that little bit there off and try again. Oh yeah, straight in. Yeah, that's it. It's easy to pull. When you pull the lever to pop the bonnet. Before, I just cut that last little bit off. There's a lot of tension on it, and it boof, and the bonnet would jump up. Bloody dog, shut it! I'm not playing ball with you. So yeah, just that little bit need to be cut off there. So it's not the neatest. I'll clean it up, but I'll just sort of fold that line up there, come along, and back here, and I've just got to clean that bit up there. That dag looks a bit shitty. So I'll have to put the seal back on, because we want that seal to be sitting there, and just closing it up, neaten it off. Now, those clips, that's the clips. So that tab there basically just goes in the holes. These holes all the way along. So, and they just stick in like that and hang. Put this little one in. Another one there. and I accidentally broke one. Now I've warmed it up and I've just pushed in with my thumb that groove along that line I had, and sort of just held my hand there for a while so it sets. It's still warm, so you can keep it warm, keep working it, go back, test it, see how it looks, bring it out, warm it up a bit more, test it again and all that, and use the glove if it's hot. You know, it's easy to hold your hand there on a hot surface with a glove than it is just, yeah, use bare hands. So alright, that's locked in position, and as you can see there now how much more clearance I've got, and it hasn't changed anything down there, so that's all good. Now I can lock that in position, and then time to put the air filter in. Phillips head on that clip, and you can just screw that in. Some of them just push in, like that one. That's pretty snug. Alright, well, I've still got to clean this up actually, so I'll have to pull it all out, give that a touch up, then put it back in, then do the air filter. And don't connect that hose until you've pulled this off, put the filter in, then put that on last. Alright, got one of these security bits, T25 it is, and just undo that. It comes up, got a bit of crap in the way. I might as well get my extender bar, makes it a lot easier. Especially this one here, it just gets it. You can get extender bars that work with these drills and these ends. It's got that end on it basically. It's just a longer version of that. You can get them, I think 200mm, 300, 400 meter. So you don't need a meter one, but you know, one that's sort of 200mm long makes it a lot easier for you to do this job. And you can get them Bunnings, Top Tools, that sort of stuff. Screw doesn't want to play nice. Now these already come oiled. You can see all the residue everywhere. Drip. So it only goes in one way, and you can see it's rounded edges, and them ones aren't as rounded, so the curve is a lot less there than it is there, so it can only go in one way. Once that's in nicely, make sure it is, drop the lid back on, now with the lid you want to make sure that lines up and the screws are where you want them before you tighten down. Now, just to make sure, with your hand first, start them, get a feel for it. You don't have to rush at these things. Just get a feel for it. You can lift the airbox up a little bit and look, just to double check. Make sure it's in and not off to the side and trying to dig into the plastic somewhere else. That all looks good to me. That's it. All in. Now, see that groove there? That's for that to sit. So it's always in the same place, so just remember to double check that. Alright, make sure that's in position. You don't overdo these, you just want to make them tight. You don't have to go Superman on it.